Welcome back to the Poppy Library. I am wanting to show you my studio. I have two studios. It's a very busy studio day. I am getting ready for a very, very exciting opportunity where I get to present at a market. To be confirmed, so I don't want to say what it is just yet. Maybe I'll say it later in the day. And I am preparing for that, and one of the first things that I'm making and presenting for this knitting community is my knitting bowls, or are my knitting bowls, which I'm very excited to share with you. In the past, I've gotten knitting bowls that are pretty traditional, and they look a little something like, they look a little something like this, you know? Very traditional. Again, they are ceramic, and they're fine. Like, I like them. That's probably why it's like hidden in the back. But then, me having a maximalist style, I end up going towards something like this, like a pot. This is actually a pot, and it's just more fun and joyous for me to knit out of. I have many vessels that are very interesting, and now that I'm a ceramicist, I can make my own, and I'm starting with the basics. My story behind that is just starting with the basics and then building on top of that is something that knitting has taught me to be patient with, and be patient with myself, and be patient with everything that I envision, but with a little pizzazz. So today we're making yarn bowls, and I'm going to show you the process behind the design. And it's a little bit late in the day, but we got some admin things done, which is super important for any business. And now it's time to sit and knit for just a tiny bit. Sit and knit for a tiny bit. Might use that. And get ready to throw a whole bunch of yarn bowls to get ready for this market. So I'm excited to bring you along. Coffee made with a ceramic mug that I made. If you hear some buzzing, it's because the AC is on. So if you ever wonder what a little ceramic studio looks like mid-project, it's a lot like this. This is clean. I cleaned last night, so there's that. So this is my Estudio Azul, which is my blue studio. I love my blues. And this is where I throw a majority of my pieces. I'm currently working on taking all of this to my garage studio, which will be Estudio Verde, which is the green studio. I love color. I love maximalism. I love everything loud, vibrant. Things that catch my eye, and so my studios will reflect that as I build on top of them. So that's just a little story behind that. So right now we are throwing yarn bowls, and I was inspired by a yarn bowl that I did get, but with, again, a little pizzazz. So let me go pull that so you can see what I mean. Okay. So, as I am, here we go, let me sit down. All right, I'm inspired by color, I'm inspired by all of these things, color, design, my yarn that is sitting across from me, and I am throwing these yarn bowls. This is an example of one of them. They will be on sale at the market first, and then I will put them on my website, available for purchase, and then I'm going on vacation, and then I think during that time I'll start a pre-order, so then I can start again producing these. This is just one of the many designs that I'm going to be making. This is kind of like a texture design. I'm going to do a splatter design, which you'll see in this video later when I start doing that. And again, these are all inspired by colors that just bring me joy and life and happiness and all of the things. If some of you don't know, I quit my career to become a full-time ceramicist, my 15-year career in hospitality, and it has brought me so much joy in my daily life. I can't even express it to you how, like, the cortisol levels have lowered for me. And I'm so excited to just be doing this all day. So you get to see me throw some things, and I'll show you how I make these, and we'll get them on the website soon. But I'm excited. This one might be mine. Like, this is the prototype, and it is a prototype because I kind of messed up on my stamp. But let me pull this forward so you guys can see it a little closer. So this, let's see. Here we go. Here she is. I don't know what to call it yet, but this is the overall design of the yarn bowl. And I really wanted something that felt like a cup. So it will be smaller, and it will fit more. This one's a little bit small, but it will fit like a normal cake of yarn that you can get at the store. The oversized ones will have a larger bowl, but I'll have dimensions when these are done. But yeah, this is the gist. On to throwing, on to throwing. Oh, and this is my new tattoo. Isn't she pretty? It's a blackbird. And also these are my new tattoos. Handmade. Oh, you can't see that because my wedding ring. Made. Boom. Let's get started. We got a lot to do. This is also a little mug that I'm working on. This was a prototype, just to make sure I got the letters right, but mugs and knitting bowls coming to you soon. This was definitely a mantra that I had when I was looking to quit my job or leave the industry. Because we are knitters, we're not quitters. That kind of vibe. Anyway, okay. I would like to say that half of my clothes are covered in clay, so at this point clay clothes are my definite wardrobe instead of the business attire that I was used to wearing. Hi. I'm recording. Olive, should we come sit?
Good job.
She said nope.
Stay. Stay.
Olive, you're fine, Mama.
Stay.
She wants to come see what you're doing. This feels like 2 pounds. This might be a bigger yarn bowl. This clay got hard overnight. Just gotta rehydrate. Oh yeah, there we go. So the first thing I do when I'm centering is I cone up the clay, and I am currently practicing my preferred technique of what I do when I cone down. You're essentially making sure all the particles of the clay are going in the same direction and they are getting centered. And if a piece isn't centered when you are throwing it, it will be wobbly, uneven in some places, and it'll just throw off the whole process. So you want to make sure that it's centered, which means there's no wobble when it's in rotation. So this clay's been sitting out overnight. I wedged it yesterday, so I knew it would be a little bit more difficult to work with today. So this is is also the first throw of the day, which I could mess up. My hands are getting used to being in the clay and working with it, so there's always a potential for a slip up when your hands are warming up, just like knitting. Those first few stitches are just a little stiff, and when your hands get warmed up, everything kind of starts to click into place and you can get into a flow. So this is pre-flow. So I make these yarn bowls to kind of fit cakes, but they can also fit, they're really great for if you have your yarn wound into a ball as well. I used to do that a lot. Introduced a wobble. Not used to talking while doing this, but it's good practice. Okay, so now I'm going to, the reason why it's good is because it has a little bit of a narrow instead of a wide rim, and it can hold the yarn ball in place better. It's something that I've experimented with many of the vessels that I have, because nothing is worse than the yarn falling out of the bowl. It's like, why? What's the purpose if that's going to be the case? So now I'm going to pull up the walls. Again, this clay's really dry from yesterday. It's like uneven wetness. So all I'm doing is pushing the clay into my hand. The outside hand is what's pushing, and the inside hand is just stability. And it's super important for me to cone it like a volcano shape. So sometimes I will just redirect it. I don't have my mirror in front of me because the camera that can usually see a little bit better. So we're going to cone it up a few more times. We have a good inch or so to make up for. And again, all I'm doing is just pushing that clay into my hand. Slow it down just a little bit. And after not properly doing a volcano shape, it's hard to get it back without introducing a wobble, so we might see a wobble here. Could probably cone it up one more time. Clay's a little dry. And then we will start the process of making into the shape. I'm noticing there's unevenness right here, so I'm just gonna even that out. Let's check the height. I do want it to be above this point, about an inch, because when I widen it, it'll get shorter. Alright, so we have a good base to start widening it out. And so I do want it to be a little bit wider than the normal bowl, so we're going to try to go pretty wide. This just keeps my edges straight, so we're going to make it straight first and then widen it out. Straightening it out. Now we have like a tumbler. Now we're going to widen it out. Slowly but surely. There we go. cone, but like a tumbler, but with a rounded base is really what I'm going for. Just gonna widen that up a little bit more. So I'm putting pressure on the inside of my piece and slowly bring it up to the top. And every time I do this, I don't think I did this in the last round, but I want to flatten the rim a little bit. So still have quite a ways to go. Make sure we hydrate the sponge. Stretching the clay is a lot of work. So we're just going to start from the bottom, work our way up slowly, applying gentle pressure. There we go. Taking some water from the bottom. I have like a 3-bucket system too, because the thing I love about ceramics is that you get to use a lot of the elements all like over again. So the clay will settle down to the bottom of the bucket, and the water on top is usable again. And so I try to do, like, when I'm throwing a dirty bucket, if I need clean water, there's clean water, and there's also like a hand washing bucket. And all of that, when the sediment is settled, I will take off the water off of that and then use it throughout the entire the throwing process over and over and over until there's nothing but slip water left, and it'll go in the reusable bucket, and I will reuse this clay later. So it's very, it's as much of a sustainable hobby as I could possibly think of. Yeah, that's why I like it so much. Okay, let's check the width. I feel like we got some ways to go. We got about another inch or so, half inch, about an inch. So let's do maybe 2 more stretches. The clay might get tired, so I'm just going to listen to it. Okay. And I do look at the side profile. It looks like I'm angling in, so I've got to angle out a little more. That's it. Okay. So this particular knitting ball, I'm gonna do a thing called I forget what the technique is called, but essentially you put a underglaze, which is something that can be fired while it's still greenware. I'm sorry, you can paint it while it's still greenware, and then I'm going to carve in the design, draw in the design, and then carve it, and then fire it, and then glaze fire it. So it'll be a very special, very handmade, for many hours kind of bowl. So let's try the width. It's still a little, it feels just right, but it's still a little short. This is again a bigger bowl, so we can extend it just one more, and I think the clay will tell me no more after this. Yep, it's already starting to tell me. So there we go. Kind of angled my it's mad at me. Okay, so we're gonna stop. My husband is coming in this while I'm recording. Oh, that's cute. It's a shrimp hat.
Shrimp.
A shrimp. We gotta do a bowl of shrimp on it. I feel like that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Shrimps. Yarn bowl done.
Nice.
Nice. You want to wave to the camera?
Sorry.
I'll edit it later.
Oh, did I come in at a crucial time?
No, I was just finishing. Thanks for showing me the shrimp.
Yeah.
That was so cute. All right, let's clip off the bottom. bottom here. This will help with trimming later. Kind of want to take a little more off. It's my magical song for trimming. Just make sure it comes off okay, and we will trim it off. Sorry. Wire it off the bat so that I can pull it off later. And that, my friends, is a yarn bowl. We will cut the holes out when it's a little bit more hard. So right now it's very wet, but this is, I know it looks giant, but it's going to shrink about 12% on all sides, including the height, the width, everything. So this is the beginning of the Liebeskind Ceramics yarn bowl. This one's going to be a fun one. You'll see. Okay, so I'm going to do this like many, many more times, and we will go back to the table when it's time for trimming and everything, and I'll show you that process too. Oh, look at it. Okay. Oh, the only bad thing about this is like your back muscles. Like I got to do yoga to fix this. Anyway, I've been throwing these knitting bowls all day, and so I'm going to show you the process of trimming them and getting the little designs on them and everything that happens after they're thrown on the wheel. But yeah, this is a studio work in progress. This is where my Studio Verde, which will come into place. I will be able to like throw here. I'll be able to create pretty much everything in the studio. I'm trying to take it out of the room because it seems to be a little messy, and like the garage is like the perfect place to do this. And my kiln is here. All the shelving, we've set up shelving. It's just taken some time to like figure out what the flow of the actual work is. And I've been watching a few vlogs. May Ceramics specifically talked about like an ideal setup, and I would agree that, you know, having a wheel to throw the pieces, and then a place to wedge the clay, wheel throwing, place to set everything to dry, a place to do any kind of underglaze painting, etc., and then a place to actually fire all the pieces. So I have those like little stations in here. I just am slowly like realizing like, oh, I really need the wheel in this room. So we'll get there eventually. There's lots of work to be done, like electrical. Maybe one day I'll have a bigger kiln. All of those fun dreams. But for now, I've set my altar with my grandparents, and looking over me as my ancestors, you know, looking over me while I create things with my hands, and making my studio so more knitting focused, and then Studio Verde will be more ceramic focused. So let me show you what we do to create the little magic behind the knitting bowls. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to take our work, our beautiful, beautiful knitting bowl, off this bat. So I have these interchangeable bats. It's really nice because I can just pop this off. It kind of dries a little bit, as much as it can on the bat, and then I can take it off. The reason being is like when it's too wet and you try to grab it, especially if you're a beginner or you're new to ceramics, you can warp the piece, and I like for it to firm up just a little bit more. So I'll just put them on these like boards that I have, and I will transfer them from one place to another to get them over to the garage where they can, or my Studio Verde, I need to start calling it that because it is a studio. I transfer it over here so it can dry a little more. I'm very lucky. My husband installed a beautiful AC, and you know how much I complain about the heat here in Texas, and it's been a freaking godsend, I'll tell you that. So anyway, then we pull them carefully off the bat and place them onto another board so they can dry just a little more. I will scrape off any kind of like excess off of this, and then this can get reused into my reclaim, which is a whole other process, dirty, messy process. But I can reuse this clay to throw more things, and so that's another reason I mentioned before why I love ceramics so much, is because you get to reuse all your materials as long as it hasn't been fired in the kiln. Fired in the kiln. So we're going to take these suckers off the bats, and then we're going to start carving them. Trimming these off this. Placing them on this board. Then I take this. And we can reuse it for something else. So a fun little trick whenever you're taking something off the bat, if you saw that I was pulling the wire towards me, when you pick it up, wherever you exited, which is on this side, you can lean it and pick it up from there. Lean it that way is what I did. So, and it's just always been tried and true, always comes off, and then reclaim. Okay, so the next part of this process is just cutting these kind of like holes and little hooks that you can normally find on these knitting bowls. And I like to do this when they're just a little dry. It's easier to cut into. Let's see if I can find my tool. And here we go. All I use is an X-Acto knife kind of tool, carving tool, that kind of comes with any kind of kit that you can find at a hobby store, like a clay cutting kit. So it has like this little hook edge, like so. For like when you're doing hand building, you can use this as a tool, and then it has like a little X-Acto knife on the end. So I use this to carve, and I carve just directly onto, I try not to touch these because they're still really wet, but I just draw in kind of what I'm looking for, and all of them are different just because I don't have a template, and I honestly just don't really care consistencies for this hook. Since these are quite new, I kind of want to see what works and which ones are people's favorites, but I also like the idea that everyone's is different. They're pretty similar. It's not like there's a giant hook in one, but it's a little one that sits at the top so that when you're pulling the yarn through, it's not making your cake kind of like roll around if you knit and like if you don't wind up a ball to knit with, or if you anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say, it doesn't like roll around if you have a cake. if you wound up your yarn in a cake, it won't. If you keep the hook at the top, like closer towards the top than rather than the middle of the bowl, it'll just keep it still, so it's not like rolling around and fraying the yarn. Anyway, that was a long explanation. So I'm just going to, I start with a little, mine's kind of like a J. And it's pretty, I found quite the joy of just keeping it simple and small. And again, while it's wet, it's just really easy to carve. It's also easy to fuck it up, which is like the story of any ceramicist journey, is like, I'm doing really well, and oh my god, it's completely destroyed. It's a nice thin line. So I try to keep steady. As you can see, my arm is like resting on the table when carving into these. And when you pull, I try not to warp the piece at all. And I just kind of leave it. And I'll show you what this looks like close up too. And then I take a little hole tool and I go ahead and put those 2 holes. So if you are a knitter that likes to just keep this yarn permanently in the bowl while you knit, you can do that too. And this is very much for just like up to like chunky yarn, nothing like extremely thick, but like worsted yarn will work in these little like knitting holes too. So yeah, once that's done, they will sit and they will dry until they're firm enough where I can turn them upside down and trim them. If I put them upside down now and try to trim the bottom of them, they will essentially warp because now I've cut a hole. So it's quite the ordeal to make these. But I love them. They're really fun. Okay, so now that the pieces are thrown and I've cut out the little like holes and things, what is the name for them? I've cut out where the yarn holds tension and little yarn holes to allow your yarn to go through. Now it's time to trim the piece, and this is why, this is a really good example of why ceramics are so expensive, because the extensive steps that it takes to make a piece. My husband is working in the garage, so there's a lot of noise. The extensive steps it takes to make a piece is really the reason why it's so expensive. So, or it can be. But yeah, it's time to trim, so I'm going to shape it so it's the shape that I want. When you make a piece, there's usually, the top is usually pretty good. I don't ever trim the top. A lot of people don't recommend doing so. It's really delicate. But the bottom is where you can do a lot of shaping. You can add a foot to it. A lot of ceramics, you don't want a lot of the base touching the bottom, the surface, for different reasons. One could be scratching tables, or if you have a mug, you wouldn't want like a hot surface, or perspirating surface too much to touch the bottom to touch the actual surface. Like if it's a hot cup, you don't want like this much hotness touching the table. Am I making sense? So we are going to trim these. It is the next day, so I did let these sit overnight, and they are what we call leather hard in the ceramics world, where it is hard enough to touch and your fingerprint doesn't make an indentation on the piece, but it is still soft clay that you can work with and trim off. So let's get started on that. I've been really busy trying to get everything I need to get ready for the summer market that is happening at KnitATX this weekend. And so I haven't had a chance to film the painting process, but I'm going to do that today. And then upload this video because that's pretty much it. You'll see the final products and everything like that after the market. And after I have my giant cup of coffee. This is Olive. She's my sidekick, she's my supervisor. I'm getting ready for this summer market and it's taken up all of my time. I haven't had a chance to film, but we're gonna do that today so you guys can see the process. So we're just gonna sit here and knit for a bit and then get to work once I finish my morning cup of caffeine. And we have a kiln unloading, which has some of the yarn bowls that I will be taking with me to the market. And then maybe, depending on how well they sell, I will add them to the website, which is under construction at the moment. So that will be ready for you all next week too. So I'm super excited. It's all happening and starting. And just a little thing about my website, there will be more than just knitting ceramics on there. I'm experimenting with what I like to make, what is going to be my core business model, and sorry, I have an increase here. What's going to be my core business model, meaning like what sells the best, who do I like to serve? I know I'll always serve the knitting community, so that's not a question at all. It's just more of like, what do I like to make, and what's my favorite glazes that I use, or what's my style. That's still evolving, and I don't think I need to limit myself at the moment. I think I mentioned this before a couple days ago, but being creative is such a process. I'm not trying to fit into a certain aesthetic. I'm just making what I like. And so I'm still discovering who I am as an artist, and I need to give myself some time and take the pressure off and just have fun with it, because that's the whole point. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this little toe of the sock, finish my coffee, and then I'll take you with me to go paint some ceramics. I'm already recording. Duh. Okay, so if you hear a little buzzing noise, I have a fan going because the kiln is cooling. And I just finished a glazing, so that'll happen a little later. And so we're going to be painting a few things. So I have a few more smaller yarn bowls that I need to paint with some underglaze. And these are already bisque, so they will go in the next firing, because we need to do another bisque fire, which is the first firing of the clay. And we have a few hand mugs as well to hand paint. I have discovered I really like hand painting, even though it takes a lot of time, but there's something about it that makes the piece really special. I like splattering underglaze, which is just like paint onto the piece. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do a little sponging technique, and then I'm going to do a little custom painting, and then I made myself a mug because I couldn't help it. I made a little Labubu mug. These little monsters. They're so cute. I didn't like them at first, but they grew on me like a little Sour Patch Kid, and I think they're adorable now. So I've been heavily influenced by my friend Yvette. She knows who she is. I don't know, I think they're cute now. Would I put one on a bag? No. But would I make maybe a knitted sweater for one? Probably. Would I make a mug? Yeah. So I'm going to hand paint these. I'm going to do a few, I made my own. This is another thing to help speed things along. I made my own underglaze transfers, which I used my Cricut to cut out a few custom designs and then put them onto some rice paper, and then I transfer them over like kind of like a temporary tattoo, except it's permanent. And that helps me get the outline of the piece, so I don't spend so much time painting. It makes it a little bit quicker. I still hand paint all the inside of the piece. It's just like the general outline. So enough chit chatting, let's get to painting. Welcome back to the kiln area. This is, my studio is set up in a nice little flow, so the kiln area is close to the garage door for ventilation. Also have a ventilating hook. Anyway, we will talk all about that later. But it's a very exciting time right now because it's time to open the kiln. This is about the third glaze firing that I've done for the pop-up. That's going to happen. So there's lots that will be in the pop-up. There's like some mugs, a lot of knitting bowls, yarn bowls, things like that. So I'm so eager to open this. Everything's still a little hot, so I have to wear like a hot glove, which are all giant. It would be great if somebody like invested in making some for tiny little hands. Tiny little hands. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. We'll open this guy up. You can't see him because my little kiln, because it's little. I'm wanting a bigger one, but I have to sell some stuff first, so that's the only reason why. So everything is still pretty hot in here, so that's why I have to wear the gloves. And I'm a little nervous because I'm using some experimental glazes that might run, so it could like destroy your kiln, could do lots of things, so I'm a little nervous, but we'll do a knitting bowl first. This one came out great. Awesome. And this is like I size these for like these smaller sock yarn cakes. Yes, smaller sock yarn cakes. And this is my Knitter Not a Quitter line. It's still picking up my face. Pick up the thing. I think it picked it up. Okay. Yeah. Knitter Not a Quitter. I also tried a different kind of entry for the yarn to go through to see if that's a little better. So this is bit of an experiment. So yeah, knitter not a quitter. I got the little saying from, it was a little mantra that I had while I was looking to change careers, that I could do anything because I was a knitter, and knitting teaches you lots of things like how to rip back your entire piece after you make one tiny mistake and get over it really fast. Or not fast, whatever. But this turned out really good. I like the little, I did little green splotches all around it. It's very like, I don't know, I just think that's fun. So, knitter, not a quitter. I love that. I love it. Turned out really good. Okay, so this one's really good. I also have, ooh, let's see, please don't stick. Oh, it did stick. Oh, but not by much. Okay, so here's an example of a glaze that runs. Luckily, I put this on what they call a cookie. It's just another piece of clay that you put on underneath runny glazes, because if it does run, it'll stick to the kiln. So thank goodness I did that. I can actually slowly chisel this off and sand it down, so it'll be fine. But this one turned out pretty nice. There is some pinholing, but I feel like it's only on the outside, which is neat, which is fine. But it looks like a little melting bowl. I gotta figure out why things are pinholing like that. Oh, and if you can hear it, let me hold it up to the microphone. You can hear it like drying, cooling. The kiln is actually still pretty, like almost room temperature, so it shouldn't be cracking too much or crazily, but there's some pinholing on here. I think I gotta figure out why it's doing that. It's a lot of pinholing on this side. So I don't know if I'll sell this one. Might put it out for a discounted price, but I'll have to chisel off the bottom of that. It did drip, so fun little experiment. Okay, next one. Also dripped a little bit. Actually, no, it didn't. It's just stuck. It did not drip. It's just stuck. There we go. Let's chisel that off. This clay oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. It's important to have cookies. This clay has a little bit of like organic material in it, like that make the speckles. I believe it's carbon. No, I could be wrong. Anyway, this is my Haters Tears mug. I love that. My battery's gonna die, so let me change that out. But look at that. Look at the inside. It's delightful. This one turned out really good. No pinholing. So that's pretty baller. Nice. Okay, so the next one we have out of the kiln is my vampire mug, which is just a little hand mug, and it turned out really good. I like the oxblood, that's what the glaze is called, but that one turned out good. Look at it. Look how pretty. Yeah. Awesome. That one turned out great. Okay. Okay, next we have test tiles, so I'll skip over that. Oh, I'm so nervous. Ooh. Okay. All right, so the first one, turned out really good, is my artist series. Little splatters, paint splatters in this yarn bowl, which turned out super good. I love those. How fun. Okay, that turned out great. Move aside. And this one, this one's a personal project, but it's my little little boo-boo one. It's so cute. Look how tiny. Ah! And the inside turned out great. It's like this. Let's see if I can get, there you go. It's like a purple speckly deliciousness. Oh, this turned out really good. Really, really good. No pinholing. It looks great. Looks great. Fabulous. This can scoot over, move aside. Another yarn bowl. Cute. Okay. And then we have a vampire bowl, which turned out awesome. Oh, this turned out so good. Oh, okay. I used ox blood on this one too, but it only kind of did like a little blood like right there of the ox blood. But it still looks really good. It's kind of like pinkish in some parts. It still looks really good. And then on the inside, I did a little detail of like 2 little vampire teeth. These turned out really good. Really, really good. Okay. Awesome. I like hearing them kind of like, they ting a little bit, even if it's at room temperature. Sometimes they make a little noise. This one isn't anymore, but that looks so good. Okay, well, good to know. I do like this clay body a lot. Looks like it really came out with that clay body, but and not so much with this one, so that's also noted. But it turned out really well. I love it. Yes. Okay. All right. So off we go now. So we have a few finished pieces. I need to do so many more before 2 days from now. So I could probably do maybe one more glaze firing, and then a glaze firing probably the day of the first market, so I'll have extra. But yeah, this is the first video of my process making yarn bowls and things, so thanks for joining me, and I'm gonna go make some more.